Welcome back to Senate Education, Thursday, May 5th, 2019. Mr. Secretary, we have been looking at S-283 as the House sent it over to us. And the question that we had for you in particular, but of course, feel free to weigh in on any and all, was Section 7, the Agency of Education creating positions or a contract. This was the one limited service position funded through, it said originally through January 15th, and then it was changed to September 30th. As I recall, we were wondering if you were having difficulty filling this position.
Yeah, that's correct. Good afternoon, Dan French, Secretary of Education. Yes, I think when we were testifying at one point in the House and providing an update on the school facilities work, we mentioned that we were doing interviews today again for this position. So we are having challenges filling positions like everyone is. So I think this language is introduced to give us the additional flexibility to contract out for that service instead of hiring if necessary.
Does anybody have any questions about that? I think Senator Persik in particular raised the concern.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure. We hadn't asked before whether was that you went out and tried to hire and couldn't, and then decided to go to the contractor route, or then just wanted to go the contractor route.
Yeah, our preference would be to hire, and we are still trying to. Actually, as I mentioned, we're interviewing today, so we're still intending to try to hire for the position. But this position in particular will play a critical role in the assessment, which is the next larger phase of the work. So if we're unsuccessful, I think this time around, I'm going to be inclined to see if I can contract out some project management services to manage the assessment piece on our end.
Anybody else have any questions for Secretary French about Section 7? Secretary, did you want to weigh in on any other parts of the bill as sent over? I mean, we've heard from you and your team on other sections. We're just working a little bit around perhaps a further proposal of amendment, giving some additional time, but maybe not as much time as the House gave on PCB assessment and mitigation. But other than that, I think we are also comfortable with the other sections.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add, but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Do you have additional questions or concerns for Secretary? I think the other thing that we've somewhat now put aside and might be dealing with in a different way is with Rosie Kruger out, we were interested in learning a little bit about single-use plastics in our lunchrooms in our schools. It's an interest of ours generally to get away from single-use plastics. With her not in this week and not available to testify, I think we're going to approach this issue in a different way. We might ask DEC and the agency by way of a letter to help us assess or give us an idea of what's happening in our schools with single-use plastics, leaving COVID aside. In other words, we know that plastics and all sorts of different things have to be used for hygiene reasons during COVID, but we're just trying to get our heads around that. And I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that issue at this point. Again, I would not anticipate seeing it in legislation, but we may work on a letter of request to DEC and the agency if they could maybe get us some information, before we return in January, just to help us better understand if it's a problem or not.
Yeah, happy to do that.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you, Mr. Secretary.
All right, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Okay, I think I'm sorry, they're still on the floor, so we just have to wait for Ledge Council. It's kind of a wait game, so Daphne, why don't you take us offline, and I'll try to touch base with the Chair of House Ed.